Right back.
He'll be right back.
How we doing? All right. Just waiting on Brian to disappear. You know, woo! No tricks up our sleeves. No tricks up our sleeves. It is good to see everybody. Look what I brought. Oh, thank you. Thank you. My novel. Shameless plug, but I could do it because it's not my book. All right. Let's do a panel.
Let's do it. So welcome to the Star Trek Nacelle Action Figures panel. Let me go ahead and introduce ourselves. So my name's Brian. I do our comms at Nacelle Company. We have another Brian in the middle. You want to introduce yourself?
Founder of the Nacelle Company. I know you. Resident Trekkie and all that good stuff. Well, sometimes bad stuff.
In Savannah.
And I'm Savannah. I run development at Nacelle.
We have a pretty incredible special guest with us today, Nicholas Meyer, director of Star Trek 2.
And rumor has it Star Trek 6.
Yeah, well, I was letting people applaud.
Okay, all right.
Don't want to interrupt the applaud there. All right, so let's dive right in. But first, Nick, can you tell us just quickly about your new book and what people can expect from it? Brian, if you want to hold it up.
Oh, thank you. For those of you who don't know, I write Sherlock Holmes novels, and this is the sixth one. The first one was called The 7% Solution, and it was about Sherlock Holmes and Sigmund Freud. The second one was called The West End Horror. Those were both on the New York Times bestseller list for quite a while. The West End Horror, oddly enough, is about a pandemic. The third one was called The Canary Trainer and was about Holmes and the Phantom of the Opera. These are all available on Amazon, I'm happy to report. The fourth one was called The Adventure of the Peculiar Protocols, and it's about the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. If you've never heard of it, you can Google it. The fifth one is set in Egypt. It's called The Return of the Pharaoh, Holmes and Howard Carter and Tutankhamun. The sixth one is this one, Sherlock Holmes and the Telegram from Hell, which is set during the First World War. And the seventh one, which will come out August 26th, is Sherlock Holmes and the Real Thing, and that's about art forgery. And I think that's the last one. Right. But they're all very good, and if you don't like it, I refund your money.
And I can vouch for that. I've read 3 of them. They are, I think you're being a little humble, which is cool. I've read 3 of them, and they are fantastic. I am not a Sherlock Holmes fan at all. I don't even like the holodeck episodes. I know, don't shoot me. But these are fantastic books.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, as you can see up here with our prototypes, our paint masters, we're here to talk about action figures. So, let me throw this over to Brian. What was the inspiration behind the new line of Star Trek figures, and how did Paramount and Nacelle get linked up?
So the inspiration was very
how's the sound
simple.
at
I
home,
wanted on my shelf that which had not been made. So, you know, I always joke, you know, as much as I love Voyager, I don't think I needed a salamander Tom Paris. So, but again, no disrespect to Paris or salamanders, but I did find it odd that the captain of the Enterprise C never had a character. I found that very, very peculiar. Again, no offense to salamanders. So she was about half of the inspiration. The other inspiration was, and I know this is a little controversial, but Captain Jellicoe. My second favorite episode of all time is Chain of Command. My first is Yesterday's Enterprise. So I always thought it was like really weird that these figures didn't exist. I have a lot of friends, thanks to The Toys That Made Us, which is a show we made on Netflix. I had a lot of friends who own toy companies, and I kept saying, you gotta do Jellicoe, you gotta do Captain Garrett. And they didn't. So one day I heard that Playmates wasn't doing any more Star Trek toys, and I was like, well, you know, we were kind of doing toys. We were doing The Expanse already, so it kind of was like, all right, let's throw our hat in the ring. We had a meeting. Savannah can talk a little bit about that, but traditionally, you go to a meeting like that with like a 10-page deck. It's like a presentation. I think we went in with a 43-page deck, and somehow they still entrusted us to make the toys, and that's how we got an email that I have framed on my wall that says, congratulations, you have been authorized to make Star Trek toys. And I got it framed because I think I have a framing addiction, and here is wave one. And as I would assume everybody here knows, but if you don't know, you're going to love hearing this. We are here today to announce the lineup for wave two. So, if you didn't know that, get up.
All right, so as I can assume, that email is proudly displayed in your collection. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Star Trek collection and kind of how that grew into this?
So, so I got about a 5,000 piece toy collection, and about probably 1,200 of those are Star Trek toys. And it just goes back to why wasn't Peter Preston ever made? Like, that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, there are characters with fewer lines that have been made. I'm not going to keep bashing on poor Mr. Paris. I'll give you another example. And I'm talking about great companies. Like, I'm talking about wonderful companies, but it's like every time a company gets the rights to make Star Trek, they always do Kirk, they always do Picard, and Picard always comes with the flute. And again, I love Inner Light. It's a great episode. I'm not saying it's not. It's a great episode, but it's like enough with the flute. There's other characters. So that's Peter Preston. That's Captain Sulu.
All right. So let me throw this over to Savannah, just about the real fan-forward approach that we took with the Star Trek line, in addition to the other Nacelle-verse lines that we did.
So like Brian was saying before, when we went and met with Paramount and we presented them with this 40-page deck, you know, we're lucky enough as a company to get our name's inspiration from Star Trek, but also for that to be led by someone who is a fan. So, you know, we had an idea when we went in of what we wanted to do, but the great thing is that it has evolved over time, and we realized when everyone was giving feedback, you know, we needed that to not only do what we want to do, but also to support the fans. So it was just about, involving everyone, and we've gotten some great things from the fans. You'll see later on, and I think it's posted here as well, an email, every day, hundreds of emails. If you haven't, participated or shared your thoughts, we'd love to hear them. But it really was just about bringing, a more well-rounded line to the fans and what they were looking for.
Great. Well, let's talk about wave one a little more in depth, and then we obviously want to reveal wave two. So, I gotta ask Mr. Meyer here, how does it feel seeing little mini Peter Preston and Captain Sulu there right in front of you?
Oh, it doesn't work. Okay.
Not yet.
And the Genesis.
Well, I have collected toy soldiers and models all my life. I think my proudest possession is a Sigmund Freud action figure that I think came out of the 7th Century. It's hilarious.
Great movie.
That's it. Oh, thank you. Anyway, so I build model boats, model airplanes, and I'm a big fan of the Walt Disney 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie, which I think is the best Disney movie ever. And some years ago, I met a guy who worked at Disney for many years, And I knew I was talking to a genius when I learned that Alan Kay is the guy who designed the personal computer. And we were both fans of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And he sort of gave me his 5.5-foot model of the Nautilus because he moved to England. So he said, play your cards right, and someday this will be yours. So I kept playing cards for 3 years, and I finally got it. And now I met this guy who's a model maker and special effects designer for, Lucasfilm, and a very nice guy, also a 20,000 Leagues fan. I said, come to my house, I'll show you mine, so to speak. And then maybe you can help me make it light up, and he did. It just finished a week ago with the interior. So yes, I babble a little bit about toys and tin soldiers and so forth. You may or may not be aware that until Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which I wrote and directed, they didn't wear these uniforms. They were walking around at Dr. Denton's, and I couldn't understand why. So when I got to start over, and no one was really paying any attention to a Star Trek movie at Paramount anyway, I said, let's redesign the uniform. And my big inspiration, because I didn't know anything about Star Trek, was a series of books that I read when I was about 13 years old. How many here have read the C.S. Forrester Captain Horatio Hornblower books? Anybody read those? Oh, okay. People still read. Good, because I'm still writing the book. Anyway, Captain Hornblower was a captain in the Royal Navy. The Horatio is a giveaway. He's obviously based on Lord Nelson, and he had many adventures, and he had a girl in every port, and if you're 13, that sounds good. Still sounds kind of good. So I thought, oh, this is Captain Hornblower in outer space. That's what Star Trek is. And when I told Bill Shatner this when the first time I met him, he got very excited, and he said, oh, that's what Gene Roddenberry says. We knew. So when I got a chance to do my own version of a spaceship opera, I modeled it all on the Navy, and I attempted to redesign the uniforms that you see replicated here. Can't remember your question, but this is my answer.
That's still well.
You're gonna fit in real good with us.
All right, so let's dive in. Let me throw this over to Brian Volkweiss. Let's talk a little bit about Wave 1. I know, really, there's been a lot of buzz about the accessories. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, if I can just go into it. So I also direct documentaries every now and then, and I directed a doc some of you may have seen called The Center Seat. If you haven't, it's on Amazon. I encourage you to watch it if you're a Trekkie. And I had the pleasure of interviewing Nicholas Myers, so I'm kind of going back into that zone. So a question I did not ask you, but I have wondered this pretty much since I was 10 years old. So this control panel, this is very specific. Like this is, no, we've never seen a control panel look like this ever before. Do you have any memory? I know it was a long time ago, but why not just beep, beep, boop? Why were there all these things you had to turn and everything?
Well, we were talking about a device, as I recall, that can create worlds. It does create the Genesis planet. So I thought it better be complicated. And also, it was one of those movies that, I don't know if you know about writing the script, which occupied me for all of 12 days. Little backstory. I met Harv Bennett, and I liked him very much, and he said he wanted to direct the second Star Trek movie, and by this time I figured out the Hornblower of it all. So I said, oh yeah, Hornblower in space, that's good. And he said, well, draft 5 of the screenplay is coming in, and I said, oh, good. And then it didn't come in, and I woke up 2 weeks later, and I said, well, what happened to the script? And he said, well, can't show it to you. It's a little more colorful than that. But I said, well, what about draft 4, draft 3? And he said, you don't get it all these 5 scripts are just 5 different attempts to get a second Star Trek movie. They're not related. So because I like you, I'm shortening this story, but I said, well, send them up, let me read the thing. And in those days, you didn't hit send. A van drove up with many scripts and different drafts and revisions. And I'm a very slow reader, but I read it. I read them all. And I basically said, why don't we combine these scripts? Why don't we make a laundry list of everything we like in these 5 scripts? Could be a major plot, could be a subplot, could be a sequence, could be a scene, could be a character, could be a line of dialogue, I don't care. And then I'll try to write a new screenplay that accommodates as many of these things. And long story short, that's what we wound up doing, because they said if you don't have a screenplay in 12 days, then Industrial Light and Magic can't guarantee delivery of the special effects shots in time for the June opening. I said, what June opening? And they said, oh yeah, the movie's booked into theaters, and it was only the second movie I ever directed. I said, how can you book a movie into theaters? And there's no movie. And they said, oh, this is how it's always done, or something. So I wound up writing this thing on the fly and just combining things like the Genesis device, Khan, Kirk meets his son, and Lieutenant Savick, and there was a simulator sequence on page 50, and we moved it up to the first, and so on and so on and so forth. And so there was a lot of things I didn't know about Star Trek. You know, I don't think Chekhov was in the Khan episode, but I just decided he was somewhere else on the ship when that was pointed out to me. But it was like one of those James Bond endings where the countdown was going to come and end at 007 or something. So I figured we better make this pretty complicated because everything is riding on it. I didn't design it, but I had something to do with the knobs and the idea that there was a kind of combination that you had to swivel around. And what I really loved is that when we filmed it, I could see Ricardo's reflection in all the shiny stuff.
So first of all, thank you for that. Second of all, so ours isn't going, so I'm kind of like an accessory junkie, and you know.
I don't see any earrings.
or anyway, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm about to make a risque joke. There's a sign right there that says, don't make risque jokes. But I do, it says don't curse, which I tend to do unless there's a sign in front of me that says don't curse. So it's not going to flip around or anything, and I can't guarantee that what I'm about to say is going to happen, but we're going to try so that you can spin the little cylinders, and then it's going to be spring-loaded, and you'll be able to twist this, and they pop in and out. So
does it create a planet?
No, only you can do that. So yeah, so that's like I said, we're big accessory junkies, and by the way, a big part of it is my own love, like G.I. Joe Classified. I love how many accessories come with everything. But it's also, especially these days, and I'm glad to see everybody sitting down, rumor has it the economy ain't great. So one of the things that we're trying to do is like really make our customers feel like they're getting value for what they're buying. So, you know, as excited as anybody could be about Valkyris, who's on screen for 81 seconds in Star Trek 3, 40-year-old movie, she comes with all these things so that, again, you feel that you're getting value. But what we also try to do is make sure that, let's say you love Valkyris, but you think this could look good with the con you bought from, say, Diamond Select. It's scaled to work with other figures made by other companies, and this is far from the only example.
All right, so that's the render on the left and the Paintmaster Valkyris with the Genesis device on the right.
And the clamshell case. I was very adamant. By the way, our head of consumer products loves me on everything we do except Star Trek. The other thing was to make sure the price point was under $30. similar thing. It's all about value. So you can't have a Genesis device without a clamshell case, am I right? Thank you. Please call our head of consumer products and let him know. He's like, do we really need the case?
All right, so shall we dive into Peter Preston a little further?
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about midshipman Peter Preston. So, Nicholas, what was the thought process behind casting Ike? Like, was there anything in the casting process with Ike Eisenman that really stood out for you?
Yeah, he did the best audition.
I guess it's
You walked into that one, Brian.
Okay, well, hey, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I know you touched on the costume a little bit earlier. Brian, do you want to kind of...
Well, since you're here, if I could ask a question. So you obviously have very strong feelings about Star Trek: The Motion Picture flagship costumes, but you...
I hadn't even seen the motion picture at that point. I had just kind of channel surfed over the years past the original series, and I just didn't understand anything I think it's fair to say that I missed everything important about the series. I didn't understand that it was an interracial cast. I didn't understand that I was looking at women in positions of power. I missed everything important about it because all I saw was the cheesy sets and the cheesy costumes, and I just kept going. Sorry.
But so you changed the bridge crew uniforms, but you left engineering, because those costumes, I believe, were from the motion picture. So you just liked them and you thought they were cool?
No, I just didn't know anything about it. We were working on the original, the motion picture, 1979, I believe, was $45 million. That is called a runaway production. When I came on to do the second Star Trek movie, we did it for 11.2. So everything was hand-me-downs, everything was improvised, same set, all that stuff. So, and by the way, I have a theory that art thrives on restrictions. It's when you can't throw money at something that you start to get cute and clever. And I refer you all to the Laurence Olivier movie of Henry V, which is a movie that more or less changed my life and showed me what you can do. And as the narrator of the play says, can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? On your imaginary forces work. Think, when we speak of horses, that you see them planting their proud hoofs in the receiving earth, and so forth. It's about your imagination. And that's what we had to do a lot of making this movie, because we didn't have the kind of money that they allocated for the first movie.
And to say something that might make all of you laugh and probably make Nicholas cringe, all the Shakespeare that I can quote comes from Star Trek 6. Thanks to you. Cry havoc, and let's lick the dogs of war.
What's that from?
Henry oh man. Oh, Julius Caesar. All right. We're close, sort of.
It was interesting the other day that we were talking about favorite Star Trek episodes, and someone cited The Quality of Mercy as an episode they liked, and I said, what's that from? Dead silence. I said, this is Portia from The Merchant of Venice. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. It's important to understand, and this isn't what this panel is about, that all art is a history of cut and paste. You add on to what came before. All fiction is fan fiction. The Odyssey is a fanboy sequel to the Iliad, and so forth.
Prick us, and do we not bleed? Wrong us, do we not seek revenge? Do we see what you did to me?
Okay, good.
Sorry, take over.
All right, so
This is getting crazy.
speaking of favorite and iconic Star Trek moments, the teacup.
And so I gotta ask, why open the whole movie with the shot of the teacup? Except for,
Well, for those of you who are having difficulty remembering the opening of Star Trek VI, which is what we're now talking about, the first sign that something is amiss with Sulu's ship is when his cup begins to shake with the onset of a tidal wave of some kind that they go through this kind of outer space earthquake after Praxis explodes. Praxis, for those of you who don't remember, is a Klingon moon. And so I thought the teacup was a good place to show it beginning to shake. Otherwise, it would just be the whole thing beginning. I don't know, it could have been done the other way. I just felt like it.
That's a great shot.
Feels like the right time to say, and the rest is history.
Here we are.
Somebody at the end of the movie, Kirk says, he's quoting the Harvard philosopher Francis Fukuyama, saying, "Is this the end of history?" As we watch the Soviet Union collapse or the Klingon Empire collapse, but it turns out we haven't reached the end of history quite yet.
Well, on that note, who's ready for wave 2? Who's ready to hear more about wave 2? All right.
Ready to see what's coming?
So you are literally the first eyeballs outside of Nacelle Company to see wave 2 here. So let's get excited.
Here we go. Wave 2, baby. Wave 2.
So, Brian, we've already revealed this one.
Yeah, so we revealed this at Toy Fair. This is Generations Captain Kirk. What was not revealed was we brought some accessories. So he gonna come with a little axe. He's gonna come with, don't ruin it. He's coming with some wood, another piece of wood. This is, and by the way, I learned at Toy Fair, not everybody is a toy crazy person like me. These will not be gray when they are in stores. So these are prototypes, they're unpainted prototypes. Other than somebody over here, does anybody know what this is?
Very small.
Does it say no we? Oh, damn it! No we. So we, again, I told you I'm kind of an accessory junkie, and it's these little details that when you buy toys, say to the person buying the toy, "Wow, this company gets what I'm passionate about." That's why there's dillweed, and I also brought this. Literally, almost forgot to bring it. I lugged it
So
around.
you're getting a vehicle?
Almost
You're
forgot to
getting a
bring
vehicle
it
right now?
up on the panel. What'd you say?
I haven't even seen this.
But it will probably not be articulated. But yes, it will be this big. So yeah, no one has seen this before, literally outside of our office. Yes, it will be painted. It's not going to be a gray horse. And yes, Kirk, I don't know what he's going to have, but he will be able to sit on it properly. We get that question a lot. It's like, we're not the smartest people in the world, but we're also not idiots. So we're not going to have a character come with a horse that can't fit on the horse. So yes, you heard it here first, my fellow Trekkies. Kirk will fit on the horse.
Woo!
All right, so now you've seen Captain Kirk from Star Trek Generations. Let's dive into
Number 2, or I'm sorry, this is figure number 10.
Yes, Janeway.
Well, thank you for saying that. For anyone who couldn't hear it, what you said was, whoa, Janeway being a badass. So again, that's what we're trying to do. We're not the first company to make Janeway. We are the first company to make her not in her duty uniform and to make her from a specific episode. And again, people think I'm joking when I say this. I'm not. I actually fell in love with her during Tuvix. Not the opening. I know the opening's horrible. But once it's over, when she's walking down the hallway at the end of the episode and you realize she had no choice. Like anything she said or did was bad. But she was the one person who had to make the call. No votes, no democracy. Sometimes one person has to make a tough call. That's when I fell in love with her. But if that episode didn't exist, this is the one where I would have been like, yeah, Janeway, that's my captain. So we're very intentionally picking costumes and moments from episodes that have never been done before. So you can have a complete Janeway collection. You don't have her wearing that outfit or coming with the